What's up guys, it's your host Spartanic Arts DxD back with another high school DxD related video. And today we have What If Issei Was Overpowered, Part 3. Once again, let's try to hit 700 to 800 likes. If you guys want to know exactly when I upload my upload schedule, click the little blue button right next to the subscribe button. Without further ado, let's get ready to thank my balance breakers. Rob the King, Lachlan Yates, Atomic Warlord 58, Crumbling Darkness Sphere, Madly Wolf 333, Aunt Lewis, The Beast YT3, Shade Fox, VR Wolf hashtag 2347, Sinrar Q, Jordan Patchow, Mazaku, Dr. MLG is the bomb, Asimodus, Grimfire Shot Gamer, Brandon Lieutenant Riley, and Jonah Levinston. Thank you so much for becoming a balance breaker, which is the highest of the membership tiers. Once again, if you guys haven't already seen my second channel, it's What If on Goku's. It's this close to 9,000 subscribers, and I'm so happy that that channel's gonna hit 10K very soon. It's kind of incredible to think about. Thank you so much for the support on this channel as well. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get into part 3. Chapter 7. In the middle of a small section of the living room, the right corner, Issei and Sirzex could be seen sitting down while staring mechanically at each other, locking their eyes with one another. Issei was seen smirking while Sirzex was seen sweating. The most intense moment in their friendship was happening, the moment that will make it break the friendship, and it begins with Issei opening his mouth with hesitation and saying, "Uno." "No, this can't be," Sirzex said. Sirzex was going to lose the 15th time. Rapidly, she began obtaining cards due to her having the right color or the number until she finally got the right card. Placing it down, after drawing over 15 cards, she had placed down a +4. "Game over," Issei says. Issei had placed down his own card for deck. He knew that Sirzex was going to desperate in obtaining a drawing card, which was why she wanted to make sure that Issei would take another 5 attempts in winning. However, just to make sure that Sirzex would feel the full force of defeat, Issei made sure to keep the card until the very end. He had won once more, making him the winner of the first 50 rounds. "Well, sorry about your 50th loss. Not a single victory. Not Uno victory. You're just monopolizing your sanity with each game. I demand a rematch," Sirzex says. "Another win? Sure, I'll take another," Issei replies. "No, this time we'll play rock, paper, and scissors," Sirzex says. "Sure," Issei replied. After the 14th matches in rock, paper, scissors, Issei had won all of them, leaving Sirzex crying on the floor. However, before they could call it a day, Sirzex quickly got up and rushed towards Issei, grabbing him and turning him around. Before he could leave the room, she looked at him before screaming, "One more match, please, Issei, one more match." "Why? I'm so damn tired," Issei says. "Please, I'll play with you tomorrow," Issei says. Sirzex didn't release her hold. She was literally like a child not wanting to accept reality. She receives an answer she wants. Issei was stuck staring into her tearful eyes before he sighed. Nodding to whatever she was going to do, Issei played one more match. Doink. Sirzex was left crying, hugging her knees before rolling on the ground. "This can't be happening. I cannot be this unlucky," Sirzex says. "Well, this solves everything," Issei says. Issei walked into his room, which is on the other side of the entire building. Making his way to the bed, he sat down and began thinking. "I wonder, how are my parents doing?" Issei said. Issei was worried sick about his parents. Even if they disliked all the way that he acted with his perverted stash, he was still their son and they were his parents. He hoped whatever the lore that his parents were doing perfectly fine. Time skip. Boost! Issei was at the highest boosting potential of 20. Sirzex had ordered for a training session to drag out to make sure that Issei would be able to reach his maximum boosting number before the counter will stop. "This is far better than what you were a few days ago," Sirzex says. Needless to say, the better that Issei became as a fighter, the more satisfied Sirzex became during the training sessions. Issei rushed straight at Sirzex, expecting for Sirzex to predict him following with a right hook. Issei instead quickly formed a small dragon shot. Sirzex was quite bemused by such a small fear, but expecting Issei to blast her, knowing that Issei was a terrible fighter, she quickly forced her hand through the sphere. However, she underestimated Issei's ability to adapt and the ability of Drake's resistance. Issei used the sphere as a light bomb, using it to blind Sirzex while pushing himself back. "Huh?" Sirzex says. Issei quickly used some sort of burst attack, forming another dragon shot and crushing it to force himself to move forward at a ridiculous speeds, slamming his fist into Sirzex. Issei immediately backed up when his instincts were urging him to do so. Narrowly dodging the attack, Issei quickly formed another 2 dragon spheres in his hands, one larger than the other. His right hand, the other one with a large sphere, was being forced into protection while Issei rushed towards with his left hand. "This is what I'm speaking about, Issei. Too predictable," Sirzex says. Sir Zex sent an instantaneous jab filled with destruction energy. If landed onto Issei, then it would force him into abandoning whatever he was planning to during the day for healing. However, Issei crushed the larger sphere, which created a quick combustion, sending him flying straight above the wave of destruction into Sir Zex's face. Transferring all of the energy into not the sphere, but his hand. Issei had realized that his magic was still pathetic. It paled in comparison to his draconic strength. Forcing his hand to suffer through the pain of having this much pressure applied onto it, Issei slammed his fist right into Sir Zex's right cheek, putting his body and momentum into the blow, forcing himself to do everything that he could. Issei wasn't able to move Sir Zex, but he was able to impress her. The pressure from the punch was able to create an explosion of debris. Boom! However, there was still that little sphere in Issei's left hand, which created another explosion. Another boom. Issei was flung across the ground before coming dead stop. Kneeling in pain, Issei waited for the moment for Sir Zex to finally end the battle. Not bad, Issei, already reaching the level of surpassing some of my sister's Paraz members. But, to meet my expectations, you'll have to prove 100-fold. Fuck, Issei said. Issei, deciding to YOLO this, rushed towards Sir Zex with boost! Only one boost, attempting to slap the woman. Issei began imagining her as a Karen and meeting her to his manager. Anger fueled him, rushing straight at the woman with a battle cry. He was met with a slap. Issei was slapped to the ground by Sir Zex, immediately knocking Issei out of this moment of the state of obtaining boost. Fuck, Issei said. Sir Zex was smiling when seeing Issei breathing heavily. Well, that was something. You actually surpassed my expectations. For that, we'll be visiting the amusement park, Sir Zex says. Amusement park? That sounds pretty good, Issei replied. Issei began having a flashback with his family, visiting the amusement park when he was a child. Remember when he was having the best time of his life in the water park. The roller coasters were amazing and joyful to ride, while the food was quite expensive, but decently done. You know, that sounds like an amazing idea. And Issei was quickly beginning to lose energy. When having 20 boost, his limit stacked upon him, his body was losing a massive amount of energy and creating massive exhaustion, resulting in only him having the ability to stay in that state for about 1 minute. One may say, what happened with the fallen angels in the territory of Rainier, that was the name of the leader of the pack of the rogue fallen angels, was making sure that she was fulfilling her plan of gaining the attention of the higher ups and gaining herself an amazing title for bringing an amazing item. She was able to kill a potential threat to her plan, being Issei Hyodo. And when noticing the massive energy surge in the area near Issei, she had thought that a Satan-class being has come to save the boy, making her want to quicken the pace of the ritual they were planning on pursuing with a certain blonde human. During the time of killing the blonde human, mercilessly ripping the sacred gear out of the woman, Rainier made sure to visit Issei Hyodo's home, attempting to potentially kill Issei Hyodo, ignoring his parents since they didn't matter to Rainier. She patiently waiting a few days for him to return, but he didn't appear whatsoever. In anger and frustration with her time wasted, she finally decided to instead deal even more damage to Issei Hyodo. Knock, knock! Issei, is that you? Miki says, which is Issei's mom. Miki Hyodo had worried for her son. Worried ever since the day that he had mysteriously disappeared from the face of the planet. To say that she was smiling while opening the door was an understatement. Instead, she busted through the door with a smiling, happy atmosphere with her. When she said that it wasn't Issei, she quickly lost her smile and regained her composure. Excuse me, but have you seen Issei Hyodo? Rainier says. No, we haven't, Miki Hyodo says. Are you sure? I'm pretty sure a child wouldn't leave his parents this early. I'm just a good friend in his school, and I just wanted to make sure that he was okay, especially when he hadn't been home for a couple of days. Miki Hyodo at this point was tearing up. She was on the edge of bursting into tears. I still haven't found my son, Miki says. She finally broke, releasing all her tears she had been holding. Rainier smirked before hugging the woman. Don't worry, I'm sorry about your son. Don't worry, I could potentially help you in letting see him. Rainier finished. In a second. Slice! Miki Hyodo shockingly looked down to see her upper body being disassociated with her lower body. Slowly, a burst of blood erupted, allowing for a massive pool of blood to spill everywhere. Rainier began chuckling before releasing her winds. Miki Hyodo died from the massive loss of blood, even before she could see who her real killer was. Miki! Goro Hyodo said. The husband of the woman was running down the stairs when hearing the sound of something getting sliced. When arriving, he was met with a sight of fear. A woman was seen with black feathery wings with an aura of green and powerful healing magic. She was seen glaring straight at the man. Without hesitation, she killed the man with a quick light spear to the head, allowing for the blood to spill. If you have anyone to blame, then blame your son for your death, Rainier says. She quickly walked away through the front door after dealing with the pest. She wanted to make sure that Issei Hyodo would suffer. Time skip. Issei Hyodo felt a quick chill going down his spine. Turning towards the door of his room, Issei knew that leaving his mother and father was for the best. Lucifer had told him that his unstable aura would be guaranteed the death of his parents in the land of humans. Well, time for the amusement park, Issei said. Issei quickly grabbed his stuff and a small trip to the amusement. Sir Zex was excited about this. She had never had someone to go with said to the amusement park, because she would either have no time thanks to paperwork or the fact that she couldn't go because she would be required to have a barrage piece with her in case of guarding her. Then, she didn't want to risk the chance of boring them if they didn't like the amusement park. Issei, hurry up before I double your training session, Sir Zex says. And that is the end of Chapter 7. Chapter 8, The Amusement Park. Sitting down in this park, the first thing I was expecting for the rides to be crowded, Issei says. Issei was walking along with Sir Zex towards the largest roller coaster. Sir Zex wanted to leave the best thrill of her life instead of this amusement park, but Issei just wanted to try on some food. Since Issei, seeing Sir Zex's reaction when entering the amusement park, wanted to make sure that Sir Zex would have an amazing time. Oh look, Issei, the line waiting for the roller coaster is short. We have to make it there before the line lengthens, Sir Zex says. Speaking about the roller coaster, the thing was massive. It was easily around 400 feet in height, while the length was wearing a few kilometers, with loop-to-loops. It was deemed as one of the scariest roller coasters. Sir Zex quickly grabbed onto Issei's arm, catching him off guard, and ran straight towards the roller coaster while the others around began thinking they were crazy. Drake, are you going to watch the Thought Slayer, the predecessor to the Doom Slayer? Issei says. The eagerly excited Issei wanted to see the movie with Sir Zex. Over time, Issei and Sir Zex have become good friends because they have many things in common. Well, it's just naturally getting along with each other. Drake, on the other hand, was a sarcastic asshole that seems to care when Issei's in serious life-threatening situations. However, during this conversation, the ancient dragon had finally responded to Issei in a deep and non-sarcastic tone. Of course, that movie seems to be interesting, especially when hundreds of millions of people, judging by the numbers of posters, were wanting to watch the movie and rated the movie to a nearly perfect score, Drake said. Hopefully the movie is as good as the movies before this version, Issei says. Sir Zex continued running until they finally made it to the line. Now we wait, Sir Zex says. She quickly sat down while pulling Issei beside her. She was moving side to side while humming a soft melody to herself, while Issei continued speaking with the ancient dragon. Yeah, but I still want to at least pass high school, Issei says. Issei Hyodo, you are literally a part of the supernatural world. You're also part of a current Lucifer's barrage. You can easily live off of that alone, Drake says. Yeah, but if things go south, then I'll have a backup plan to a minimum wage, Issei says. Huh? At least you're making different plans for your future. That's a step in the right direction. Far better than sniffing the smell of magazines filled with random women, Drake said. Issei quickly began blushing. In embarrassment remembering the perverted things that he did, it was only natural for someone around his age to act. What was Drake trying to say? All of you know that men around my age usually get into that phase of our hormones kind of affecting us, Issei says. Let's check up on what these kendo girls have to say about that, Drake says. Issei quickly, deciding to defend himself, began arguing with Drake, resulting in them throwing insults at each other. From the outside, Sir Zex watched Issei's expression changing from a victorious expression to a saddened expression. Issei, Sir Zex said. She quickly waved her hand in front of the boy, dragging him out of the mental space and back into reality. Oh shit, sorry, what were you saying, Issei says? We can finally get onto the ride, Sir Zex replied. Sir Zex was holding in a burst of energy, which she could release at any moment if given enough enjoyment. Issei could tell that she was excited to get on the ride. Then, let's go, Issei says. Without letting the brunette finish, Issei was dragged into the front of the ride, quickly bedding themselves into the seat. Issei was beginning to feel fear, the fear of adrenaline crawling onto his back. Wait, why did he even get on the ride when he was fearful of great height? His conversation with Drake had distracted him from realizing this. Issei was beginning to quiver in fear. Seeing this, Sir Zex grabbed Issei's hand while turning her head to see the fearful look in his eyes. She was trying her absolute best not to laugh. She was enjoying the feeling of anticipation for what comes next. Issei slowly turned his head back towards the roller coaster and was finally moving. Drake, fuck you for this, Issei says. Drake simply chuckled when seeing his partner beginning to have a panic attack when the ride was at the top. For the next few minutes, Issei was screaming for his life while Sir Zex was dying and laughing. Time skip. My disappointment is immeasurable and my day is ruined, Issei says. Issei, after the entire situation, the roller coaster was able to see the snapshot of him closing his eyes and screaming for his life. Right next to him, he could see Zerzek smiling with tears rolling down her face from how hard she was laughing. All this was seen through a camera that was connected to the top of the main poles that was nearing the end of each ride. Zerzek was patting Issei on the back while stopping herself from bursting into a fit of laughter. Oh, come on. It wasn't that bad, Zerzek says. Zerzek was trying her best to help Issei out after such a traumatizing event. Can we finally watch a movie, please? It would easily flip my day ruined to amazed, Issei says. Sorry, but food comes first, Zerzek says. She pointed towards the nearest restaurant. The name of the restaurant was Prince Burger. They ask you how you are, and you just have to say that you're fine when you're totally not fine. But you can't get into it because they would never understand, Issei says. Why? Why do we live just to suffer, Drake says. Both Issei and Drake having a crisis with their suspense growing to no limit. They wanted to watch a movie. They wanted to watch the thoughts being slain. They wanted to watch the man that came before the Doomslayer. Come on, it won't be that bad, Zerzek says. Once arriving inside the restaurant, Issei and Zerzek wanted to see the menu. The waiter arrived near them, watching as they both began studying the menu with serious stone-hard stare. How may I help you two fine people today at our restaurant, the waiter says. The man politely asked, breaking the concentration that both Zerzek and Issei had. Zerzek was quickly able to answer, pointing towards the menu onto the best deals. I'll have your limited time offer. This one, Zerzek says. Nice. What about you? Waiter says. I'll have 2 number 9s, a number 9 large, a number 6 with extra dip, and a number 7. 2 number 45s, 1 with cheese and a large soda. Zerzek looked at Issei as if he was crazy. There was no way that Issei was going to eat all that food. Well, more for her as well. Ah, the special limited edition order 420. You, my friend, have gained respect from me, the waiter says. The waiter quickly got their food as they began scarfing down food as if they were animals. In less than half an hour, they were done with the food. Issei, why did you order so much, Zerzek says. A bloated Zerzek spoke before toppling over from her drowsiness. Issei quickly caught her. He was more sustained with his feeling that for some reason. He was more adaptable with being the foal than Zerzek's, allowing him to catch her and prevent her from falling. You're not that well adapted to being bloated, Issei says. Doesn't seem like it, Zerzek replied. Zerzek quickly grabbed onto Issei. While walking slowly in random direction, it turned out that the park was forced to close thanks to the weather changing soon. Issei and Drake were screaming at each other. They were blaming each other for each other's stupidity for the closure of the park. Once Zerzek was able to grab into Issei, the boy in return began to blush. He was still perverted. He couldn't change that due to the becoming a natural thing to him. His body, when blushing to see Zerzek's body touching him, thanks to her tired state, began to lose control and he just stopped. Taking a little to control himself, Issei slowly began walking with Zerzek until arriving towards the teleportation circle. Issei, you really are a nice person, you know that, Zerzek says. She spoke truthfully while yawning. Issei didn't take the compliment seriously. Well, Zerzek, I'll see you in a little while. Since we're in the human world, I'll have to visit my mother and father. Can I visit them? Issei says. Zerzek, knowing that Issei had controlled his power to some sort of degree and believed that awaken the ancient dragon with the sacred gear, believed it would be painful for him to visit his parents. She had received a report of her sister that Fallen had left the area not before killing a few innocent humans, deciding to allow for the boy to visit his parents, know that they won't be in harm's way. Zerzek nodded while signaling for Issei to help her in the teleportation circle. Issei decided to have some fun, threw Zerzek to the teleportation circle. Drake, scan the area, Issei says. Detecting no paranormal activity. The coast should be clear, Drake says. Thanks, best buddy, Issei replied. I am not your best buddy, Drake says. Yes, you are. No, I am not, Drake says. They continued arguing towards Issei's house. Drake continued screeching that he wasn't Issei's best buddy, while Issei retorted the opposite. They were truly getting along with each other. Wait, why are the lights off? Issei says. And that is the end of Chapter 8, Amusement Park. Chapter 9. It was my fault. Knocking on the door a few times to see if anyone was actually home, Issei realized that something was definitely off. He was beginning to smell something disgusting within the house. Beginning to worry, Issei decided to do the best thing any man would do. Mom, Dad, what are you guys doing? Issei says. Entering the house, the full smell of blood began to hit Issei with full force, almost making him puke. Issei gradually began to shift his body towards the inside of the house to vividly see the truth. Seeing the blood on the ground, even seeing through the darkness, Issei could see the lower of the butt of just lying on the ground, dried in pool of blood. No, Issei said. Only 3 people would be inside of this house. Issei, his mother, and his father. Moving his attention forward, It was as if he could perfectly see everything inside the house. Even the darkness was enveloping the kitchen. But what caught him was the other part of the body of the person. The face of his mother was soullessly staring right back at him. "Mom," Issei said. It was a nightmare. As if it was a nightmare, his brain was beginning to bring him to the belief that this was real. His mother couldn't be dead, especially in such a brutal way. This couldn't be happening. What truly destroyed Issei was seeing both corpses of his mother and father right next to each other. His father's body. He knew that it was his father, seeing the shirt that his body wore while the head wasn't on his neck, was basically holding his mother's hand. Both them were dead. Blood was all over the place. Issei began to tear up. Bursting into tears, nothing was preparing him for such an event. He couldn't believe this was happening. This has to be a nightmare. This can't be happening all of a sudden. Quickly averting his attention from the sight, this must have been an early Halloween prank. Swoosh! A powerful breeze pulled him out of the trance to slowly avert his attention to the window, which had blood all over the place. The walls on the building reading the words, "You're welcome." Gripping his fist with absolute rage, his body began to emit this powerful, deadly aura, forcing his sacred gear to appear, even with the exhaustion of training trying its best to restrain him. Walking along the table to see a piece of paper, Issei, being as curious as he was, quickly went to see what said inside the paper. This just has been a joke, opening the letter to see something that finally broke him. "Don't know you were alive. I thought I made sure to end you. Well, your parents paid the price." His bones started cracking. His damn ex-girlfriend had fucking killed his parents. Finally breaking down, Issei fell onto his knees with soulless eyes. He couldn't believe it. That damn bitch killed his parents. Why did he have to suffer for this? Why was she doing this to him? All he wanted was to have a perfect date, but she only made him suffer. Tsk, cracking again. "Hey, Issei, remember that I always be proud of you no matter what," remembering his mother. His mother was always with him, even when he was at his lowest. "Now that's my son. Always stay strong and pursue your dream of becoming a harem king." His father supported his degeneracy, even when he was basically becoming a failure. "Would you die for me?" The words that stared this whole madness. "Issei, I forbid you from visiting your parents. Your power is unstable and will bring the death to them." No, he had failed his parents, even when he wasn't in danger to them. His entire existence alone was deemed to be dangerous to him. He made sure to stay away from them, and yet they still died. It was all his fault. His fault. His fault. The earth was shattering. A dark, ominous aura began covering the entire house. "What in the motherfucking world is happening? Partner, what the hell is happening?" Drake says. The ancient dragon had finally woken up from his slumber to see his partner's emotions shaking the entire mindscape. Drake was beginning to worry for his host. "Partner," Drake says. That was when Issei's mind began to tune out everything. Nothing was entering his mind. A dark, powerful aura began to warp around Issei. The rage he was feeling was something that no one would understand. His mind was set on one thing: revenge. He will make sure to take away the will of that fallen bitch and make her suffer. He will make sure that bitch will want to kill herself, but he won't allow it until she suffers more. She will suffer. That bitch will suffer. I will kill you. I will kill you, bitch, Issei says to himself. He had revenge shut in his mind. His rage alone was beginning to force changes within the sacred gear. His rage was so powerful that even those words that were playing in the back of his mind were blocked out. He was going to aim for revenge, but nothing will stop him. He will kill Yuma. Issei's body began to emit this aura of pure rage, domination, darkness, chaos. A dragon in the supernatural world was able to boost their power significantly, depending on their emotions, making them a real threat in the supernatural world. Issei, being a small percentage dragon, was still able to gain this emotional boost, while also gaining the emotional boost from the sacred gear. His power was skyrocketing past high class and ultimate class territory. Looking at his arms, Drake was trying his best to gain contact with his partner, but it failed each time. Issei was far gone to hear anything. Scene change. A certain angel was sitting down in the highest level of heaven. This archangel was known as the leader of the angel race, the substitute of the biblical god and father of all the angels. Sitting down, watching the sacred gears in case if anything happens. In an instant, the man could see a black tainted color being to flicker with the boosted gear, one of the most powerful sacred gears on the planet. What is this? A mutation? Michael says. This is the first time I'm seeing this. Michael begins inspecting the once of a lifetime chance he was seeing. A Longina sacred gear mutating was something that had rarely, if ever, happened, especially when it was the boosted gear, a gear that had soul of one of the top 10 beings on the planet with the gear. But why is such a darkened presence coming from this change? Michael says. The pure negativity being released from the change was beginning to affect Heaven's sacred gear system. Why did you have to leave me the responsibilities, Father? Michael says. Scene change. Issei's power skyrocketed to heights he had never thought he would achieve. However, even with this change, the voices in Issei's head began speaking with him. Do it. Say the chant. Use the power. It's the only way. Unconsciously, Issei's body began to move on its own. His mouth finally began saying the words. In an instant, his body forcefully entered a more darkened and dangerous balance breaker state. The dark, ominous aura began forming a second layer of coating on the top of the massive armor which he wore. Drake was beginning to become desperate. Drake began to realize what happened, sorrowfully spoke back to his partner and convincing him to turn back to normal. Boost! Partner, stop! Listen, your body is beginning to disintegrate. Listen to me, Drake says. Just like before, his attempts were futile. Smaller spirits began spreading out from his body. Doom! A massive red light was seen erupting from Issei, pushing everyone within the room to be blasting away. The corpses of his parents were blown the fuck away into the streets. Issei immediately forced himself to transform into his balance breaker form, but with more bulk. However, the most bizarre part was the small orbs escaping from his body, each of which held the voices of people, young, old, male, and female. I, who shall awaken. It started. Looks like it will start. Am the heavenly dragon that has stolen the principles of domination from God. I laugh at the infinite and grieve at the dream. I shall become the red dragon of domination, Juggernaut Drive. Issei's appearance is chained to one similar of the actual dragon. However, Issei's Juggernaut Drive was far different from the other user's Juggernaut Drive form. Issei's Juggernaut Drive was larger, more armored, more powerful, and far more fearful. A dark, ominous aura of pure darkness and sadness began to wrap around the Juggernaut Drive. His mouth began opening to show pure draconic teeth. Boost! Issei released one powerful roar, which shook the entire city while engulfing the city with his darkness, knocking out all humans within the area, forcing many to have nightmares with the aura. Not only was he suffering, but all humans will be. Boost! In an instant, someone had appeared in the area with the entire barrage while staring at a powerful being in front of them. Even Sona Citri had appeared right beside the woman, the sister of Lucifer. Boost! So, who are you? Rias says. The redhead was able to sense this monster aura coming from the neighborhood. She quickly appeared with her entire barrage. Without Avery saying a single word, Rias was met with the soulless and bone-chilling eyes, sending shivers down her entire barrage while causing them to black away in fear. This power. How is it this powerful? How is it more powerful than my sister? Sona says. Boost! The entire ground began to change to a darker and more dead-type surface. All the grass around the ground was killed, while trees began to lose their will to live. The atmosphere in the air was beginning to increase in density. It was beginning to become far more difficult for the barrages to breathe. Boost! I ask, Akano says. She was interrupted with a fist landing straight in her guts, sending her flying hundreds of buildings, breaking her back while severely destroying her body. Boost! Akano, Rias says. Before she could do anything, a hand grabbed onto her shoulder. Turning around, Rias was met with the equally terrifying sight. Her sister was right next to her, and she wasn't smiling. Rias and Sona, get your barrage healed and get the fuck out of the area, Sir says. But Rias says, Boost! Sir simply glared straight into her sister's eyes. It was as if she was seeing straight through her sister's soul. Backing away, Rias was finally beginning to feel fear, which humans have been being within the life-death situation while being powerless. Nodding, she quickly ordered her barrage to leave while grabbing Akano to heal her. Boost! Issei, just a single hour. What has happened to you? Sir says. At the same moment, Issei finally released a roar filled with agony. Sir finally realized the scream that wasn't one with pure anger, but with pure agony. The scream of a broken dragon. Sir Lucifer, as you can see, my partner is in stable condition. I suggest that you end this quickly before he begins to feed off his negative emotion and becomes an evil dragon, Drake says. Sir was astonished when hearing that, especially when seeing the broken state of Issei. What happened to him for turning to such a state? Issei's power was on its way to approaching the power of a regular Satan-class being. Sir Zex was quickly beginning to expel more of her power, balancing out the aura which Issei was created to prevent the deathly aura from expanding. Sir Zex, I suggest defeating my partner as quickly as you can before it becomes too late. My partner is giving his all, Drake says. What do you mean by all? Sir Zex says. Sir Zex understood by giving it all was expelling the most power that someone could handle. But this wasn't Issei's limit. This was hundreds of thousands of times higher than his limit. What came out of Drake placed Sir Zex into a state of pure fear and worry. Boost! Issei is sacrificing his life force, his body, his mind, and his will to live. His emotions have ultimately brought him to the mutational state of Juggernaut Drive. You're the only one that can stop him. Please help my partner, Drake says. Those eyes that gave great Lucifer chills down her spine. Get ready, Issei. I'll save you, Sir Zex says. That was when Issei showed his darkened smile to Sir Zex, sending a jolt of fear down the woman's spine. Scene change. A silver-haired boy was seen sitting down at the table while eating some food. Buying a food from the local market, the boy abruptly stopped and began sensing a powerful presence. Albion, do you sense that? Folly says. The ancient dragon began speaking to his host in an amused tone. It appears that the Red One has entered the Juggernaut Drive state, Albion says. However, I'm sensing this Juggernaut Drive seems to be far more powerful than our version. Aren't Juggernaut Drives supposed to be equal? Volley said. Volley, I have taught you many times that dragons' emotions can alter anything. This must be the mutation in Juggernaut Drive. I suggest avoiding the red because I'm sensing an equally powerful being there, Albion says. Oh, come on! Why can't I see my rival? Volley says. No, Volley. Bad, Albion replies. Albion, please. No, Volley. If you even dare to approach the red, then I will make sure to shove this tree straight up your ass while you're sleeping, Albion replies. Fine. Can I at least watch the battle? No. My disappointment is immeasurable, Volley says. And that is the end of Chapter 9. And that is where we're going to stop at the end of Chapter 9. Hopefully you guys did enjoy Part 3. I've recorded these all consecutively, so if there's anybody who did join the Balance Breaker tier or any membership tier, I haven't gotten around to thanking you yet due to the fact that I am on vacation for my birthday. So I'm not really taking a break. I've decided to upload a couple of videos throughout the times, but thank you so much for the support. It's truly been absolutely amazing. I cannot thank you enough. You guys are absolutely beautiful, like seriously. And I'm starting to make my own custom images, as you can see by this thumbnail in particular. I kind of want to change things up, do things my way. And if you guys really want to see more Goku what ifs, more Naruto what ifs, more Issei what ifs, just go ahead and subscribe and hit the like button, please. Let's try to hit 800 likes again. I know changing up the image will definitely bring a drastic change to the content, so hopefully you guys do like it. I made a Sir Zex vs Issei one for the last thumbnail, and I'm gonna make a rage thumbnail for this one. I haven't exactly done it yet, so by the time you guys see it, you will be able to get it. But thank you so much for the support. I cannot thank you enough. If you guys want to see more what ifs, go subscribe to my second channel and Palpowski. It's linked down in the description below, and I do a lot of Goku what ifs on there. It's so fun to do Dragon Ball, and the first Goku Betrayed series will be on here, so be prepared for that. I will also do What If Goku Was in High School DxD, and also What If Goku Became the God of Destruction, the movie. And that will be a very, very long movie, as well as this story is going to be long in general. It's about 12 hours. So once again, thank you for all the support. Without further ado, let's try to hit 800 likes, and Spartanic Arts DxD out.